Hey guys, Bry again. Brander, whatever you want to call me. We're going to do some more reading, along with Freya, I guess, on Creed of Iron, Wotan, All Father of Our Folk, pages 104, 105, 106, and some more at the very back of the chapter. And here we go. Of all the numerous Euro-pagan gods, none... Oh, shit. Of all the numerous Euro-pagan gods, none was considered more formidable figure of opposition to all foes and enemies of Northern Europe than Wotan, and none more thoroughly repressed by both church and state. Even the pre-Christian pagan Romans, with Zeus and all the other gods of Mount Olympus, were put to task against the power of Wotan and the gods of Asgard. As we peer deeper into the inner workings of the Wotan character, we find many hidden facets that clearly suggest why such fears still remain in today's world among those who follow alien creeds and seek to systematically dismantle the ancestral roots of Northern Europe. The Norse gods to this very day still reign steadfast and foremost among all other Euro pantheons. At this point in history, all challengers and would-be patriarchal high gods have went their course of power and faded into the dustbin of history. As mighty as all those former pagan gods had once been in their day, such as Ra, Horus, Isis, Orisis, Apollo, Poseidon, Zeus, Bel, Sir Nunos, and the like, they all eventually gave way to the test of time. Wotan alone has not only survived, but continues to gain in power and influence. The spirit of Wotan permeates and prevails, grows, and is quite often capable of surging like a storm through the blood, thought, and will of his people when challenged, and he will ever remain eternal constant no matter how strongly the world attempts to dismiss all his encompassing essence. Since the dawn of written history, the ancient Aryans of Europe followed a vigorous, natural, tribalistic, and industrious and creative lifestyle that was dominated an ethnic belief system characterized by the pantheon of archetypal gods. It was a lifestyle and a spiritual practice that formed a tight weave of folk consciousness and unity among its people and further served to define their culture, identity, and civilizations. Through many ethnic god archetypes that made up the numerous tribal pantheons, the Aryans found the needed vision, unity, strength, and spirituality to meet the harsh realities of the times and all challenges for the future. Around each pantheon of gods, a mythology was created, adding even greater identity and ethnic cohesiveness. This is itself vitalized and unified a nationhood and thereby strengthened the heroic legends, mythology, and collective consciousness of the pagan tribes of which it was a part. Though many pantheons have descended from the oldest traditions, they all echoed the same basic grand cosmology, but in the end only one would be destined to survive the test of time. This is not to say that those other former ancient pantheons were not real, effective, and powerful in their day. Far from it. Those pantheons were all very much alive, but over the course of time their powers eventually diminished. During the earlier days of the great catastrophic destruction of Atlantis and an unexpected many ice ages in northern Europe, the Aryan tribes found themselves forced to separate and migrate to more southerly hemispheres, and thus the ethnic gods soon took on new names and identities as the people grew further and further away from their origins and customs to reestablish themselves anew. Through this evolutionary stage, the divine pantheons, a synthesis began to develop between the gods and man in form of one patriarchal deity that best represented Aryan kind as a whole. Originally, this highly symbolic and mostly powerful god was known and revered as Poseidon. Also another time Mimir was the reigning high god of the Teutons before the emergence of Wotan as also the god Tyr. Tyr was identical with the Saxon god Saxnot, from sax, a sword, and from Hru, and Shuru, the chief divinity of the Cherusci, who also considered him god of the sun and deemed his shining sword a blade by the emblems of its ray. Eventually, Tyr gracefully stepped aside, and a new persona emerged in the forefront around the period of 300 BCE, or before current events, in the figure of Wotan. The actual origin of Wotan is still disputed to this day. Some scholars insist that Wotan is the ancient Aryan tribal warrior king, while others have drawn the conclusion that Wotan and Hermes are one and the same. Zeus was an equal contemporary of Wotan in his day, but ultimately, like so many others, was replaced to the pages of mythology and folklore. We celebrate Wotan as a day of the week, Wednesday, originally Wotan's Day, and he is still lightheartedly celebrated as Santa Claus and Puck, and Herne the Hunter, and Green Man. The faces of Wotan are many and surfaced everywhere over the long course of our history. That was the first part of the read, and here the second one is Wotan Rising. I hope y'all are enjoying this, because I'm actually enjoying making videos again. Wotan Rising. Give me words forged in fire, that I may speak through the soul of my people, temper their body and their heart, set loose a torrent storm of my will, powers of eons generate within me, snapping the rusted chains of alien creeds. Hear me now, the eight-legged astride of my steed across the heavens. I am the image of my kind writ large. My being spans the breadth of all thought and matter. Through the light of my solar eye, from an age undreamed of, you have known me. Moon and stars I gather in my cloak for you to gaze upon. My spirit pierces the farthest corner of life's mysteries. Like a ship I guide you. Although you may wander, do not abandon me. I am the source of all that you are and ever can be. I have given you knowledge, spirit, and an ounce of divinity. Defile not your image, lest your soul be cast to the netherworlds. Above our cities and cooling rock of mountains, a keen eye of my ravens bear watchful measure to your life and deeds. From Asgard I gaze down upon you, through many guises I walk among you. You are the multitude of my spirit, which I in turn give back to you. Do not turn from the challenges that I have laid before you. Burst the illusion of all doubt and limitation. Shatter the darkness of disillusion and despair. Sound the clarion anew and the triumphant age. The eye of Wotan works within you. Let my strong ones rise. Like the mighty sacred oaks, unleash the power that I alone have given you. Mirrored in nature, mirrored in time, mirrored in the mountains, ocean, and sky. Let the heroic life rhythm of the divine and the mighty gods stir your noble blood. Clutch the flaming sword of your divinity. Set up a light in the darkness. The might of legends still flows within your veins. Let my strong ones rise. Ron McVan. Once again, thank you, Ron, for the words. Thank you for your writing. Thank you for your inspiration and your insight. Hail the folk. Hail Wotan. Hail Wotanism. Hail!